Alright, I thought I would show you our homemade sausage recipe. And starting off, use about a half a handful of garlic. And we're going to use maybe a third of an onion. And to show you the ratio to meat, let me show you what we got in the pan here. This is a few chickens that we butchered, and also in here is some bacon. And this bacon will provide the lard that you'll need for your sausage. And there's a few spices, and there's mushrooms, and for the most part the spices are pretty simple, just some salt and pepper. Most of the flavor is going to come from the bacon, actually. And what we're going to do, we're just going to keep running everything through this, and then we just dump it back in. And then we're going to start adding, let's add some bacon. Adding the bacon first would probably be good to sort of grease things up in there. There we go. Turn that through. Another thing that I want to add is some coriander. Probably grab that now. And not too much. The coriander is pretty strong. You know, maybe a tablespoon of coriander. Coriander is really good on top of a meatloaf. If you put some ketchup on top of the meatloaf and do it that style, the coriander sort of gets soft in the ketchup. So about that much coriander, not too much. And we'll add some of that now, might as well. And we're just going to keep adding and running this through and dumping it back in the pot. So I'll do that for a while. We'll kind of skip ahead on the video here. Alright, as you can see, pretty much everything's mostly ground up. I've got a few more big chunks to do, but I wanted to show you this. You can sort of just, after we butchered these chickens, we marinated this meat for a little while, and the meat sort of just falls right off the tendons. And so if you see any tendons, my little pile of tendons there, you'll want to try and remove those. I just imagine those in sort of a chewy bite. Filler, I guess. But anyways, so there's some tips that I could share with you, getting all the tendons out. And also, if you cut them into more strips like this, they'll feed through the grinder a little better. Pushing on the top of the grinder kind of helps, but you'll also want to, if I can mix, like let's say I had a handful of some, this piece we got to cut into some strips, but let's say I had a handful of some mushrooms, put in some strips of the chicken here, a little bacon. It seems like if you mix and don't just have one big chunk of chicken, it seems to grind a lot better. And since we're almost got this whole pot ground up, I'm going to add a little salt here, but not too much, just a little sprinkle. I use measurements like sprinkle and handful. But there you go. We'll zoom ahead again and I'll show you the finished sausage. Alright. This is all pretty ground up. And if you get a bunch of, the bacon sometimes has some fibrous sort of parts to it that you just back off, sort of like tendons, and then you can clean that out. But everything's pretty much ground up, and so what we're going to do now, I'm going to combine everything. And again, what's in here, we had 3 roosters that we got from a friend, and we butchered them, and then things from the property such as the coriander and the onion and other things you could add to this, chives and different things. I just kind of forgot to add some chives. We also added a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and now we're going to just run everything through one more time, kind of mix it up as we go so you don't get any particularly salty spots or anything. But I really like the hand grinders. You know, I'm not going to accidentally ruin my grinding machine by adding too much material or something. You can kind of feel what you're doing. The grinder I'm using is steel, and I like that idea rather than like the zinc coated or, you know, anything else that might somehow taint my food. But you know, if you look at the cost of ground up processed meat versus just doing it yourself, it's pretty much one of those things that would pay for itself to get a hand grinder. And plus, what if you didn't have electricity? You could always use your hand grinder for a variety of different things. This one here we use for making flour, and the grinders use these different bits you can put in there. They'll, you know, have different purposes depending on what you want to grind up. But oh, there's a big piece of bacon that made it through. So yeah, as you can see, you kind of want to run it through a second time. That also helps mix it up. Yeah, basically some spices, some chicken, and some bacon. The bacon helps to make the lard like a hamburger, to hold it together when you're frying it up and gives it that savory flavor. We've got some really nice locally processed bacon, because some of the bacon in America is actually sent to China for processing and then back, as if that's somehow cost effective. But yeah, some good local ingredients in here, from the bacon to the roosters to the things grown on the property. And we're pretty much done here. And shoot, I'm looking at about maybe 6 pounds of sausage that we were able to make for about the cost of a package of bacon. So there you go. Give that a try. Get yourself a hand grinder and make some sausage, and you can make hamburgers the exact same way. Alright, here's our finished product, and everything's been ran through a second time, so it's all mixed together and then ground all together one last time. One thing I do on the second time through, I tighten this down a little bit, and this can control kind of the size of what's let or allowed to pass through the grinder. And by tightening it down just a little bit, a lot of this sort of sinewy stuff from the bacon or tendons from the chicken, you can see this is kind of like tendons. So that's what this pile is here. So running it through a second time helps me to get out anything that would be chewy. You can see these are kind of stuck in the grinder, and can always just pull this straight out and clean it. So, you know, this I can just toss in the sink. It's really not that messy at all to grind your own meat. You use your meat grinder. But this ended up being 6 pounds. I'm a pretty good guesser. Alright, well, there you go. And I got it a nice, pretty almost mushy consistency. And that's so that it'll make a real nice patty. And we are going to basically freeze these as patties. So that'll work out just perfect. I can feel the amount of lard in there is right on. And then, yeah, they smell awesome. The smoky bacon I can smell that just as powerful as the onion. And you might want to saute your onions before you bake your sausage if your eyes are sensitive to onion, because man, I sure smelt that onion while I was grinding it up. But there you go, rooster sausage. Have fun. Alright, last thing, you'll want to spray some sort of a protectant on your hand grinder, but using something that's edible like this. A friend left this here. I wouldn't use this for cooking or eating, but I'll spray some of this on these areas that I don't want to rust. Get some in these threads. On this piece, I'll put some on here, spray a little inside, and so this will coat that metal and keep it from rusting, kind of like WD-40. So it's like an edible WD-40. So you can use it in lots of applications like that. You could use it for as a lubricant, like for hinges or anything of that nature. You can also use it to make ice not stick to things. So that's another way you can use it. You could spray it in your door locks to lubricate the door locks in winter. But I thought I'd throw that in this video. Look for the alternate uses for this butter spray, maybe besides eating it. But anyways, I got this is all cleaned and ready for storage. We got our sausages cooking. Those look like they're going to turn out perfect. And here's how we're going to freeze them, so then we can cut them in half, or we can cut them in little portions out of the freezer. But hope you liked the video. There you go.